Right, a report by the University of Johannesburg on Zimbabwe Exemption Permits has found that the procedure to document immigrants was discriminatory. It's also found that some were excluded from obtaining the ZEP because they're perceived as economically not beneficial. Lydia Moyo is the project coordinator at the Center of Sociological Research and Practice at the University of Johannesburg. She joins us now in studio. Lydia, very good afternoon. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Yesterday's line, well, wasn't good, so I'm happy to have you in studio. Let's perhaps start right at the beginning, perhaps to get a sense of what the intentions of the ZEP were to begin with.
Thank you for having me. The intentions of the ZEP was just to alleviate because remember the Home Affairs said their system was clogged and all that, and they wanted to document people. So it was sort of trying to alleviate and trying to document most of the people that were undocumented.
So research was conducted, findings came from it. The process of the research, how was it conducted? What was the scope?
The scope of the research, we wanted to find out about the experiences of the ZEP holders, their perceptions since the Department of Home Affairs announced that they are going to scrap the ZEP. So we wanted to know what is it that they are percepting, what are their experiences of saying you were documented and that you were now undocumented. So what were their experiences, what were they hoping for, what was happening in their lives around that time. That's why we intended to do that research. We wanted to know because we saw it was actually not fair for many people to say you were documented, now the next minute you are undocumented. You have been staying in the country for so many years and then without any notice you are undocumented. So we saw it as an unfair practice to humans.
Procedure was the biggest challenge in documenting migrants. What processes in terms of procedure are being referred to here? What did you focus on as you uncovered that? Okay.
The procedure basically was like, if you were in the country legally, you have your passport, then you were sort of eligible to apply for that permit. Remember, these permits came in 3 phases. There was the first time that started in 2009, and then they gave people 4 years. They expired, they renewed for another 3 years. They expired, they renewed for another 3 years. And then people were under the impression that they were going to get another chance. They were going to renew them, but they didn't do that. They just told them in the snip of a finger that we are closing all this. Despite whether how many years you've been here in the country, it doesn't matter, we are closing.
As you talk about the steps that you took to conduct the research and just get a sense of how people are feeling, Zimbabweans on the ground,
yes.
What did you find as you interacted and really just tried to analyze the data?
Okay. What we found, mostly people were worried about their families. Imagine a case scenario whereby there's a South African, there's a Zimbabwean. It doesn't matter whether the other one is a male or female, but the fact that they have children together and the other partner is being sent back to Zimbabwe, what will happen to their family? Who is going to remain with the kids? What will happen to the schooling of the kids? Because remember, they said everything is being stopped. If there are kids who are going to school who are Zimbabweans and they've got permit and they're in the middle of their education, whether it's varsity, it's primary, it's high school, and you are told June you are leaving, what will happen to such kids? The syllabuses are not the same back in Zim and here. It's two different things. So there was breaking of families. And then the other thing, people were worried about their bonds. Remember, people have been here for more than 15 years. The law allowed them to acquire bonds. The law allowed them to buy houses, to buy cars, to make many things. And then all of a sudden you are told, please, up and leave. What will happen to your bond house? What will happen to your car? What will happen to your other businesses? Who is going to continue to pay your for instance, your Edgar's account?
Yeah.
So it's not only the Zimbabweans who are on the losing side, but also the South Africans who are on the losing side. Also, we can look at the issue of these people who have got people who are at home, back at home. They are buying groceries for them. What will happen to those shops that they were buying at? There were people who were domestic workers. They have been 10 years attending to this certain type of a family, and then you are told up and leave. They have created bonds with those families. They have created social relations. Like, there were many things that people were worried. Employment rate right now in South Africa is very high. And most people, especially in townships, they've built back rooms. Who is renting those back rooms? We found that it was mostly those people that are being told to go back home. So it will not only affect the Zimbabweans, but it will also affect the South Africans. So, yeah, those are the kind of things that we found. Like, what they want are economic viable people to say, you are a doctor and we want you. What will happen to the teacher? They are also contributing to this economy. They are contributing to this South African people. Why do they only want people who say they can only benefit from them, like directly benefit? Even teachers, they are imparting knowledge.
Yeah. You know, you speak about the scope, you expand on the scope, you speak about some of the concerns that ZEP holders had, and other concerns, of course, relate to the sentiment around South Africans, speaking about jobs, speaking about crime, speaking about some of their big concerns. And I understand that as you did this research, the report, it countered the narrative that migrants are a burden, hence you were expanding on the aspects around the back rooms being rented out from the township, and that being economical viability to some extent. How did this research now talk to the concerns? Did it touch on the concerns at all of South Africans? Some of the concerns have come across as as legitimate in the minds of South Africans when looking at matters of crime. How did you navigate around that?
Yes, we did find that people were there's this stereotype and there's this labeling that foreigners or migrants, they are here to steal, they are here to like many things, many bad things are being said about migrants. But we found that many of those people, they're actually contributing back to the economy. Many of those people, they were family members. Many of those people were teachers. Many of those people are Uber drivers. They're actually making money. It's not like they're taking... Yes, there's this notion that migrants are taking away jobs from South African. I don't know how far true is that, and the research is just a very small research, so I cannot account for that. But we found that they're actually doing something. It's not like they're only taking, they are giving back. And we found that there are people who are actually have got their small businesses who have employed other South Africans. So how is it that they are saying they are taking away their jobs? So we couldn't actually pinpoint to say this is true, they're actually taking away the South African jobs, this is true, they're actually doing this crime or what. But we found that most of them, they're actually contributing back to the economy. They are working legal jobs.
Thank you so much. We're going to have to leave it there for now, but thank you for your time. Lydia Moyo, who is a project coordinator at the Center of Sociological Research and Practice at the University of Johannesburg.